Pulisic dentro, Rafa. Gol! Ebram! Gol! È l'azione più bella del mondo! È l'azione più bella!
Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of the SempreMilan podcast. I'm your host, Ollie Fisher, joined once again by Anthony Torgrud.
What's up, guys? Glad to be back. My heart goes out to you all. Sorry. I didn't do it. I just said it. Glad to be back. Let's go. Let's continue.
Let's go.
I'm really confused on what just happened.
I was making a joke about things we saw yesterday.
We'll make it the thumbnail and then people get it. Yeah, we're here, boys. Busy one. 4 games to talk about.
3
You've
games?
only prepared for 3, haven't you?
I've already prepared for 2.
Why? What you got? We need to talk about Como away.
Yeah, I forgot about Como. Let me add Como in there. That was
Como
the only
away.
one. That's the only
Juventus
one.
away.
Yeah.
Girona at home. And Parma at home. So, yeah, we've got 4 games to cover. Going to be a lively episode because, you know, there was some good, some bad, and some ugly. But before we dive into this week's proceedings, thank you to our Substack founding members, Des Windsor McGlynn, Tito Mack, Moritz Paulman, Joey Gawler, Kemin, MG and Mats, Luke Villano, Raul Escobar, Jack, Carlo Fassi, Nasser, Merlin Finker, Derek Favretto, Heavenly 13, Mike Schulz, JT Physio, Tarek, Marco Valea, Roberto Racinos, Ken, and Medi K. Might try and memorize that one week. That might be the next step, but it's going to be tough. There's over 20 names on there, and that shows how it has grown. Thank you, everybody, for your support in what has been a turbulent season. We hope that you enjoyed articles such as the most recent one that Isaac did on the Conceição shock approach and how the players reacted to his new methods. Obviously, everybody knows that he's been quite outspoken about not liking certain aspects of the squad's mentality, their hunger, desire to win, all the things we're going to talk about here. But we got some insight from various sources that are in and around the squad about how the first few days went down out in Saudi Arabia, including a New Year's Eve dinner and, you know, the training sessions and things like that. So definitely worth going and checking that out. The most recent pub chat from Stefano and Lorenzo, AC Milan are completely clueless. I don't disagree with their assessment. Go watch it because it's very, very good. It's 42 minutes long. It's a pretty cathartic rant, I would say, from both of them about the moves of the management, a few that we're going to highlight in this episode, but definitely go and watch that because the feedback that we've had on that is really, really good. People are saying that they both hit the nail on the head with some of the stuff they said, and there was some downright moments of anger, so that was good. Don't watch mine and Isaac's bonus pod that we did on Friday because it was reacting to iconic Milan-Juventus moments, and obviously we lost to them, so, you know, it'll just make you miserable. We'll go check out the newsletter, Conceição and the knack for comebacks. We didn't get one on Saturday, but it's got the news bulletin in there. And another bonus article that Isaac did, what's that, January the 13th, about the latest on San Donato and if the ownership group have wasted 55 million to buy the land if they're just going to build a new San Siro with Inter anyway. Breaks down all the costs.
Yes, it was a waste.
Looks like it, doesn't it? Everything's a waste of time at the moment with this club. Anyway, let's start with Como.
No, I'm just joking. I love you guys, our listeners.
Yeah, we love everybody who's tuning in. I had a message from somebody actually saying that it's really good to listen to us while on the treadmill. Which I thought was, yeah.
It made me
like
get
run
off the
faster
treadmill.
so you don't end up like these 3. That's probably the way it's going. I just mean in Korea generally. Right, let's do Como.
Okay, let's do
Nice
it.
little trip to the lake on a Tuesday night. It was freezing cold, you know, because it's January, but still, the moon looked nice. The camera picked that out at one point. It was like partially obstructed by the top of the hill. If you've ever been to Como, there's like a big hill with a little castle at the top.
No cable car thing.
Yeah, you get the funicular railway. It's absolutely beautiful up there, but the moon was right up there and it looked nice. The game, less so. We won this one 2-1, and we continued the theme of the early Conceição era by coming from behind in the second half to do it. But at full time, it was more relief than excitement in this one. You know, I did not feel the same hype that I did after the Juve and Inter games for obvious reasons. It was more like, how the hell have we got away with this one? You know, because I didn't think we played that well at all, to be honest.
I mean, you can argue in all of the games, maybe minus Inter, we didn't really play that well. We just found a way to win.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't think that, like, since he's come in, our style of play has changed drastically. We still kind of look like we're just, you know, we don't know how to finish. We can get the ball in the final third, but then we don't know what to do, right? It's like AJ when he used to bring a girl home, like, you know.
I have never failed with that. Don't be putting that one out in the universe. I've been more successful.
I forgot it was a bonus podcast. I won't make jokes like that.
Anyway, back to this game. So you mentioned, we didn't feel like we were ever in control, and so Flop Mob has a momentum generator on there that the chart goes up and down depending on what team has the momentum. And for us, it gives us the first 6 minutes, the 11th minute, the 21st through 23rd, so another 3 minutes, and then we don't have any momentum at all again until the 61st minute, which comes immediately after their goal. All of a sudden, the team wakes up and we have total control of the game until the 78th. So, and that's when we scored both of our goals, was in that span, and then we lost all momentum again for the rest of the game. So, pretty worrying. It tells you everything you need to know. I do think within one of those phases around the 20th minute, that was when Pulisic got hurt. He didn't come off until halftime, but that was when he did go down, I believe. And that seems to be a trend under Conceição. We've only won games that Pulisic has played in. So
keep his run going.
Yeah.
It was a rough watch. Like, the first half was way more open than what I was expecting, actually. In the sense that both teams just kind of opened up a little bit. There was a lot of intensity. I think we struggled with their press, and we struggled even more with their counter press. We played through it a couple of times, but didn't know what to do when we got past the halfway line. But there was very little quality. I was thinking, is it going to be one of those nights, where we're left to rue, not seizing the moments in the game where we're on top? Like you mentioned, we had like a couple of spells in the first half. Then in the second half, again, as you said, it took a goal to spring us into life. And Matteo Gabbia said after the game, and he came on because Chow got injured and remains injured. He said, we can't keep waiting 70 minutes to wake up. And, we're going to talk about the Juve game, but it's true. Like, the warning sign is there in the sense that you're not always going to be able to come from a goal behind. Against a team that's 1 point above the bottom three, as Como are. They've spent a lot of money this January, and they're kind of like surging up the table now. But you can maybe do it there, but you can't always be starting from a position of disadvantage. Like, it's not going to work out for you more often than not, especially as teams get a better idea of how to play against you as much as you start to learn the mechanisms that the new coach wants. The goal that we conceded was really bad. It came after we'd had a pretty promising attack, actually. But they went from their left back position to the right winger, new signing Hassan Diao from Real Betis, I think he scored in all 3 games since he arrived, or he certainly scored yesterday. They hammered someone 4-1 at home, did Como. So they seem to be, funny. You do business in January and sometimes it works. But Teo backed off again
in Syria.
All right. But Teo, just like he did against Zortea in the Cagliari game, and like we've seen numerous occasions, just stood off and gave him 3-4 yards to shoot. And shot beat Maignan at the near post. I think you can ask some questions about, the frequency with which Maignan is getting beaten from positions that he probably shouldn't do. But for me, the whole build up to that as well was pretty shambolic. It showed that we're still weak in transition. It showed that our players are still capable of those individual errors. I can't remember who it was who gave the ball away leading up to that goal. But yeah, it wasn't good. And I don't know. A clean sheet seems a long way away for me.
It does.
And that's a worry.
Our back line just has way too many loose pieces. Where in the past, like, they've been pretty consistent, had good chemistry, but every game there just seems to be like something off between one or two of them, and it shows when you concede first every game.
It only takes a second to score a goal, right? And we seem to be always capable of giving the opponent many of these chances to do that.
I will say a lot of goals that we've conceded this season have been like phenomenal strikes. So like there is also like that aspect, but don't give them the opportunity, right? It comes to the bottom line.
Well, I mean, the XG stats are slightly in our favor. But only marginally. And then I've got two big 2-2 on big chances. We had 6 shots on target to their 4. We had 4 corners to their 2, but it was 12 all on shots in general. We had 6 yellow cards to their 1. And something that we picked out in the tactical analysis that we put out was that a lot of those yellow cards were cynical, dragging players down on the break.
Yes.
And that actually, if it happens a couple of times, you're like, fine, we're regulating the flow of the game. You actually kind of sometimes want a tactical foul to be committed. But actually, it was because we couldn't keep up. Yeah. And we saw this in the second half against Juve. The warning signs were there from this game that we could potentially get overrun by Juve. And it ended up happening. But yeah, 6 yellow cards. And I think 4 of them were for dragging players down on the break or fouling players on the break. And yeah, that, if it happens once or twice, then you can say, fine. But when it happens and it becomes a theme, then it points towards a greater issue, which is that I think that this squad is running on empty a little bit. Particularly key players. Midfield
you mentioned, sorry, I just cut you off there, but you mentioned clean sheets. We've kept 8 in all comps this season, and mind you, we're 29 games in. Our last clean sheet was before Christmas, so over a month ago. In fact, a month and a day. It was December 20th. So that's Verona.
Genoa 0-0. We didn't score.
No, it was Hellas Verona right after that.
Oh yeah, the 1-0. Yeah, I was at Cambridge.
Yeah. Hey, back-to-back clean sheets. So it is possible.
It is possible. We could do it. We just have to play the bottom 5 teams repeatedly.
And
then we lose. We lose them sometimes. So
yeah. What worries me is that I thought that Conceição would come in just based on how his Porto teams played, and the defense would be the first thing that he fixed. He put Tomori in there, which was an interesting move because I think Gabbia and Chow had been a good pairing up till that point. I didn't expect him to throw Pavlovic in there. We'll talk a little bit about him because he's going to have to play against Girona because of other selection problems. But it seems to kind of unsettle things a little bit, if anything. And while what's happening ahead of the defense isn't really clicking and meshing just yet, the defense seems to have sort of reverted to this we look a long way from keeping a clean sheet, is what I'm trying to say, really.
Yeah.
And we've got some games to come where that has to be the target. But when you hire a manager that is so, I think it wouldn't be unfair to call him a defense-first manager at Porto. Their defensive record was really, really good. They won a lot of games without conceding. That's sort of the first thing you expect to be resolved, really. And maybe he's come in and said, most of these aren't good enough. Pavlovic, you've got to go. Emerson Royale, you've got to go. And we're going for Kyle Walker. So maybe he's like, I need more in order to be able to properly assimilate my methods. But yeah, it was pretty worrying. And you can bookend that with what happened at the end of the game as well, with Cutrone missing a close range chance. Maignan did have a good save for that one. Saved it with his foot. And they caused a bit of chaos late on. And it looked like they were the only team that were going to score to equalise rather than us killing off the game at the other end. But we scored twice. Leao and Teo and Leao, all the way around. Teo's, I bet if you give him that shot another 99 times, he wouldn't be able to do what he did. He basically shanks it into the air and it spins, and keeper's finally beaten.
Yeah, it was a perfect little loop. I mean, no one thinks that was the shot he intended to take. I think it was very obvious.
Sometimes that happens.
Yeah. Luck is a big part of it, and probably luck is more important than skill sometimes. And this was definitely one of those moments because it was bad skill, and by that I mean it was a horrible shot that just happened to work out perfectly. Looped on in, it was curling, it was slow, so I think it just confused everyone. And with that, he broke Maldini's record for most goals scored by a defender for Milan, which is awesome. It's great to see those old, long-standing records being broken by the current team. But make no mistake, one of them
is that in just Serie A games?
Yeah, just Serie A.
Okay. Yeah, just Serie A.
Yeah.
You see that stuff happen in the NFL, but they have more games. So I wasn't sure if it included it.
Yeah, Maldini took a few more games to get to 30 goals. Let's put it that way. Teo, if he were to stay at Milan for his career, could even probably double it. But it is still a big thing, definitely. And you saw Maldini's post on his Instagram as well, calling him my rightful heir. which I thought was interesting. But yeah, I sent him a gift signed version of the 125th anniversary shirt. So it shows that the bond between them two is still there. You know, Maldini was the one who brought him to the club in the first place. There's that famous meeting in Ibiza, or Ibiza, depending how you pronounce it. And he's still here to this day after Maldini's gone. And yeah, breaks the record.
I thought Teo would be the first one gone, to be honest.
Still might be in his last season. We don't know just yet. The renewal stuff seems to have gone quiet. But anyway, it was a good goal. I liked that we got the ball. You know, let's go and try and get the winner. Took a little bit of time in coming, but it did through Rafael Leao. And this is what we've been saying about Tammy. I think, although he's frustrating with his misses and things like that, basically just the chances that he missed, at least he gets himself in the position to impact games. And in this case, just like the assist that he got against Slovan Bratislava, for example, just dropping into midfield, turning and playing a killer ball. It was a lovely through ball to Leao, who makes a perfect diagonal run off the shoulder of the last man and a nice little lift over the keeper as well, with a smile on his face too. I was hyped by that goal. That was real quality. That was real
nice.
Quality.
Yeah.
Fitting winner.
Yeah, that's really it. Not a whole lot else in the game, I guess.
No, that's the thing. You know, the 3 goals, and you should be excited after a comeback win. And you know, it was a big 3 points as well, because Fiorentina had lost the night prior. Then Juve would drop points after that against Atalanta, a game that they actually played quite well in. And I thought, you know, it didn't bode well for us how they played in that game. But it was big, because it was like, all right, Lazio are only 5 points away now, and we've got a game in hand. So that's a step. Points are the most important thing. But after that game, I remember thinking there's levels to it, right? You win and you play really well and you're happy. You win and the performance is just about enough to get the job done.
Mm-hmm.
And you can win and think, my God, we didn't deserve that. And it just takes the shine off it a little bit. And that's where I was with it, you know?
I don't think it was that we didn't deserve it, but it definitely was not a pretty win. It wasn't a comfortable win. And I think the fact that this was now, I believe, the 4th come from behind victory, maybe 3rd, under Conceição out of 5 games. It's frustrating, you know? Like, it was really exciting in the Juventus game. Obviously, his first one, you're like, whoa, come from behind, kind of a fluky turn of events that was like exciting. The Inter one, obviously, for a trophy, derby, huge game, huge result, stoppage time, fantastic. We all love that. Then you do it against one of the relegation sides in the league, and you're like, can we get our shit together? You know,
that's it. Yeah,
it's a bit worrying. We're now 5 or 6 games in under Conceição, and we have a total of 0 first half goals. That's not good. You know, we need to.
I'm just wondering if it's showing how much of a poor place the players were in mentally, because Fonseca, I liked it at the beginning, but he verbally abused them in every press conference, right?
This is what I said in the chat. Like, when have they had enough?
Yeah, at some point, that takes an effect on the players, and they're like, "Am I good enough?"
Well, that's how I felt during the prime banter era, when the fans were not showing up. Every game was a banner basically saying "F off." Like, at what point do they just go, "Man, I don't want to be here"? You know,
And I'm sure that had a huge impact on players who came in.
Yeah, it certainly didn't help the situation. You know, if you do a protest, go for it. You know, I'm never going to say you can't do that, but there comes a point where you have to just put it aside and support and be like, okay, we're going to get behind you. We got to get you moving, whatever it is. And Conceição kind of led into that today with the press conference. He said, be the 12th man, no, be the first man. We need support. We need you. And that tells me that you guys are right, that there is a mentality issue. And you remember when Pioli came in, took over for Giampaolo, it took him 5 months to undo all the damage that Giampaolo did in the first 4 or 5
7 games.
Yeah.
It
takes time. And Conceição has been here for 5 games, and he's got to undo what Fonseca did. And Fonseca was here, much longer. So it could take longer. I do think Conceição is the type of guy that will get the best out of you sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing that, and we're hearing it with some of the player reactions, some of the things we're learning about the situation. And I think we are seeing that.
The leadership is bought into. I know we're talking about Como, but we're kind of going off a little bit. But I do think that the leadership is buying into to that because they just bought Emerson and Pavlich and they're already offloading them. So like they're buying into what he needs rather than this is what you've got, make it work.
Yeah, and that was an argument that I had with Lorenzo yesterday, as you guys saw, was I said, it's a good thing to right your wrongs. It doesn't excuse them, but it is a good thing to admit you made a mistake and you're fixing it as soon as you possibly can, which in this case is getting rid of a summer transfer in the winter.
Yeah.
I don't think he was understanding what I was saying because he thought I was excusing it all, but that's
neither
here nor there.
He's normally very rational as Lorenzo, so that surprises me. We did get a comment from a guy on the website. This is from a guy called Fetot, and I had to not approve it because they swore in it. But that's just I'm going to read it out anyway to prove that I do read them all and moderate them all. He said, and this was after what he said after the Juve game. So we'll come on to it, but just on what Maddie said, I have no idea if his words are good or bad for the team. You have to help them become better, not just tell them to be better. If they aren't good, then coach them, train them. Don't just yell at them. I wouldn't respond well to someone saying I'm shit and have the worst attitude ever. I'd lose respect for the coach immediately if he can't bring anything more to the table than mean words. You might say that that's what they deserve to hear, but does it make things better? That was an interesting comment. Because we're all like, yeah, fuck all these players, man. They're shit. They're letting us down, blah, blah, blah. But we know that these are complex humans. And how many weeks on end do they have to take a battering in the press before you see a performance like Juve?
That some aspect, it's okay, right? Like to say like, hey, the player's mentality needs to change, blah, blah. But every week you can't go in and do that because it also shows that you're not doing anything to fix it.
I think Conceição's presser was different today for that reason. He stayed away from it and he was more like, come on, everybody rally around us now. And I think that might be it. I think we might see a change in tone from him, to be honest.
Sometimes. I don't think we will see a total change because a good coach can mix both those things. People are all different. They all react differently. The guy who made the comment showed that he can't handle criticism, and that's okay. A lot of us can't. Some players are going to thrive in that. Professional athletes have a different mentality than every Joe Blow walking down the street. So when you say that, he can't handle being yelled at, I bet he can. I bet a lot of them can. Some can't. And that's why a good coach is going to be able to be hard when needed and going to be coddling when otherwise. We watched episode 2 of the Pulisic documentary yesterday, and he said one of the things that drew him to Jurgen Klopp was how nice he was and how supportive he was. So there's proof that sometimes coddling and being kind is a good thing. We know that. But then there's really other coaches that will be the opposite. Go ahead.
Pulisic has had a really good start to the season. And Fonseca was not a coddling coach.
No, exactly. So that's why I'm saying you need both, You can't go
but also
all in on hard, you can't go all in on soft.
Players who may be more sensitive than others, when the coach is out there in the media bashing other players, they might be like, am I next? And they might overthink everything that they do, which is going to then lead to what happened.
I think Fonseca did it differently too.
Other players will see it and then say, "Oh, I don't want to be next. I better bust my ass here."
Right.
So you got to have both.
Conceição's gone for the whole squad, though, and at no point has he singled anybody out. He's just said that apparently he confided to somebody close to him that he's never coached a squad with such little character. Now, there's been no denials that have come out about that, but also it wouldn't surprise me if that's true. He probably coached some absolute possessed goblins at Porto, because they were always a team that competed above the sum of their parts, Pepe,
the dude was crazy.
The thing about that is, like, how close is this person that they would say that? If Conceição is admitting something as crazy as that to his close friend, is that guy really a close friend if he's immediately going like, hey, Vitiello, listen to this, Like,
I don't know if you guys follow, like, Olympic Lyon or anything, but John Textor was apparently texting about Dortmund's leadership team, calling him a ton of like inappropriate things. And it's like, if you're saying this, like, people talk like that, to their close friends. But if you're their close friend and you release that, it's like, is this real? So it's just also
well, and that's the thing. I guess you got to watch your friends too, but
got to be careful what I say to AJ.
I think I think who you're saying things to where it could end up out there. I think it's like sort of a club media relationship, or I guess player to player to journalist relationship that you sometimes see or whatever. I think you have an idea when you say something that's going to make it out there. And I think the fact that this has come out and it's like he's confided to somebody close to him, that's the only clue that we get. You know, I doubt it was a member of the current coaching staff who's gone and leaked it out. Maybe he texted a journalist. It came from Coursera, so maybe words got back to Monica Colombo, who sort of does the Milan stuff for them. I don't know. But, you know, anyway, point being, it's fine to say that, but I think we now need to see improvements. It's okay to come in and for 3 weeks say this lot of shite, they're mentally weak, blah, blah, blah. Right, we kind of need to get out of the hole now, so we need to see better, because we're going to come on to Juve now. Let's wrap this up. Flop for this game for me was Reinders. I was really frustrated by him. He missed a big chance in the first half, and I know it seems harsh, but I hold him to higher standards than what we've seen. And he's been probably our best player this season. Certainly, you know, up there with Pulisic anyway. And since Conceição came in, there's been a drop-off from him, which is a little bit worrying.
I think
he
he's just
needs to be the leader.
I think
he
is
is
exhausted as well.
Reinders is a good pick. Honestly, the whole midfield is
ass.
I kind of want to say even Mike, just because that the goal conceded was not acceptable.
Or Teo, same reason.
Yeah, Teo was bad too, but definitely, I'm gonna go with I don't know.
Do it.
Mignon. I'll go Mignon. I think he can save that shot. Yeah.
I'm gonna go Morata. Absent, off at halftime. Completed 6 passes. You're a hold-up striker. Like, you should be able to pass the ball, and but you suck. Get off the club.
And he got injured somehow as well. Like, I don't really know. He
Speaking
got muscle fatigue.
Enforcing positivity within our players.
Yeah. And speaking of positivity, Fodo Ballatore just been released, so there you go. Good luck to Fodo for the rest of his career.
Still here?
He's still here. Yeah, apparently he just sits at home all day now. He doesn't even train with the Futura, but that's probably something for another episode. Man of the match, Leao. Yeah, huge amount. Man of the match, Leao scored the goal and was involved in pretty much the only decent stuff that we generated going forward.
Yeah, that's the correct answer. If you want to be a contrarian, you could say Tammy made a great through ball pass for the assist, but it's
was a nice one.
It's Leao. Leao's the pick.
Yeah, move on. Juve. So, to call this, a lot of people in the build-up to this game were calling it a must-win, and I disagreed with that. I think it was a must-not-lose, and then we fucking lost. So, because we know that we'd gained ground on them, basically, with the last round of games, and we were 3 points behind them, I believe, coming into this one, and 5 points off Lazio with that game in hand too. So, all of a sudden, the top 4 pursuit had become a lot more manageable. And it's like, all right, if you draw both games against Juve in a season, let's say, then you're backing us to pick up the pace in other games where we've dropped points in the first half of the season under Fonseca. You're thinking that we're going to go at a higher points pace, therefore we can eradicate that gap over the remainder of the season. Just keep everything in play. Losing, though, sees that gap go to 6 points, gives them the head-to-head, so it's effectively 7 points now, and you're opening yourself up for other results to go against you, which ended up happening. So we're back to 8 points off the top 4 now. First half in this was way more open than I thought it was going to be. We all saw the dire spectacle at San Siro in November. It's probably the worst game of football I've watched all season still, is that. And it was wide open. Both teams traded big chances. We certainly had a couple of them. There was a nice corner routine to Reinders on the penalty spot, and he just kind of scuffs his shot a little bit. If he connects with that sweetly, then, it goes in. We had Leao have a shot saved by Di Gregorio after a nice cutback from the left side. Then they had a couple as well. One where there was a good recovery challenge to deny Yildiz. Maignan was called into action on a couple of occasions as well. There was actually a lot of entertainment in the first half for a 0-0. And I thought, right, we are well and truly in this. And we finally kicked up a gear under Conceição as well. We finally woken up in the first half. That was good. More of the same. We can definitely nick this game. Knowing that the first goal was going to be very important, because if it went to Juve, then it plays back into their hands entirely. I think the first 20 minutes of the second half is the worst I've seen us play in 10 years.
It was really bad.
I've seen us underperform. Like, you might say the Genoa home game or the Cagliari home game. You know, all these where we've dropped points. We at least had like a foothold in the game, and what was frustrating is we didn't take the chances. And even in games where we've been beaten, we've often had moments. I think, you know, to the derby games that we've lost. You know, we lost 6 in a row of them. We definitely have moments in those where you take a chance. Maybe it's different. Blah blah blah. We couldn't get out of our own half. We couldn't get out of our own penalty box in this opening bit of the second half. They completely and utterly suffocated us. It was actually grim to watch. It was like in boxing, you know, we'd have been counted out by then. It was absolutely. We had our backs against the wall. We were up against the ropes. Whatever analogy you want to use, the press was killing us. The counter press was killing us even more, and we just couldn't play through it. And I have to give a bit of credit to Juve because it's a while since I've seen us bashed about quite like that. But when they were 2-0 up, I think with about 20 minutes to play, I had no arguments. They were the deserved winners of this game for me.
Yeah, even the first half, it started a little exciting. You know, I think the first 10, maybe 5-10 minutes where you said end to end, back and forth. You didn't know which team was on top, and it was exciting. And it was funny. But there was with me, and he even said like, you know, maybe this is a bit too much, and we do want those boring, typical Milan Juve games, and slow this down a bit. But then after that opening 10 minutes, it was like we just dropped off, and I don't think we got back into it until maybe the 75th minute. You know, it was all Juve from that point on, and it was pretty damning. The goals.
What does that?
Go ahead.
What does that momentum thing say? You know, on the FOTMob.
Oh. Pull it up.
Just want to see if it's like all there, big mountain of Juve pressure, because that's how it felt.
Yeah, so it gave us the first 4 minutes pretty heavily. And then, okay, there you go. So last 20 minutes and first 20 minutes were all of our opportunities. They had everything else, and they definitely had the peaks too. Oddly, both the goals came at the lowest points of their peaks.
Yeah.
I
mean, their goals both came on counterattacks, though, right?
Oh, and they were horrible goals too. So especially the way.
Come on, Tim Weah's goal was decent, right?
Took it well, but fuck me, Tomori.
What was Maignan
10
doing?
yards off him. Yeah, Maignan lets it through the middle of the net.
Right,
stretching like what? It was ridiculous.
The second goal doesn't frustrate me as much as the first goal, though, because again, it's like, how many times do we have to learn that when a winger cuts inside, they're probably going to shoot? And Emerson Royale does get something to it, but not enough. And the deflection, I think you can ask questions of Maignan again for that goal, to be honest, because he gets to it and all he can do is tip it onto the post. And it's like, you have to have a stronger hand in that, but he was off balance, so I can't entirely blame him.
Yeah, but
it's like
up to that point in the second half, he was just deflecting shot after shot after shot.
Yeah. Also, with it deflecting, or not deflecting, but with Royale getting a touch to it, it does change the trajectory slightly.
He does,
it does make it a little.
But it's like
harder
you're still in a
Maignan,
position to punch it, and instead he just kind of palms it onto the bar. But
At the end of
whatever,
the day,
it's not his fault.
We used to say this playing football: if you touch it, you could catch it, and that goes the same for goalkeepers. If you touch it, you could save it. You know. So,
I don't know about that.
You don't know about what?
If you touch it, you can save it. There's plenty of like
when
they dive and they just get a fingertip on it. Like you can't save it.
Fingertips different, but I mean, you get a palm, you get a hand. It should not be deflecting.
Right.
Anyway, the point being
that
it felt like we'd not withstood because we've sort of still in the middle of it, but it's like there's been wave after wave of pressure from Juve, and you haven't conceded to this point. So, okay, maybe they can't maintain this for the rest of the half. Maybe they are expiring their battery deliberately before the 70-minute mark because they know that if they're going to score, it has to be then. Then we can catch them in the last 20. You just got to survive. Just got to ride out the wave. And then you concede to a goal like that. It's just like, fuck, it's not our night. You know, unfortunately, if Mbangula bangs it top corner without any kind of deflection, but the fact it takes 2 touches off our players and still ends up going in off the crossbar is like, yeesh, yeah, not good. And then Weah scores the goal that he does. I have to be honest, I thought he was really good off the bench, and he led that break well. Tomori should do better. I think he's got to step up at some point and commit to a challenge. If you get beat, fair enough, but don't get beat by the shot. And then Maignan, it goes down the middle of the goal, so I'm not really sure what happened there. But I think Maignan is now consciously covering his near post because he's let goals in there. So he kind of overcompensated in that case, and it left an easy low angle for it to go in. And that was it, really. I mean, there was a moment where we had a free kick on the edge of the box. Reinders and Teo were stood over it, and I thought, surely not again. These two sparked the comeback against Inter through this same free kick method. But when Teo whipped it wide of the post, I was like, no, that is us done. Kamada had a late chance with a header from a Jovic cross, who Jovic came on and looked really good. So I don't know what's happening there. We should probably start him.
I don't know about really good. I mean, that's
no. But he had a couple of moments, and he fought. He did fight hard. But it's the bare minimum, I guess, when you get in garbage minutes to try and impose yourself. But that was it. It was comfortable for them. It was as comfortable a Juve Milan game as I've remembered since we beat them 3-0 at their place. We never got going in that second half. That's what's cost us. As we kind of alluded to, Conceição comes out after the game and questions the hunger of the players. He says that in order to win a game, you have to start it thinking you can win. So it was almost like he sensed that there was a resignation in the squad, which is strange because it's kind of your job to get him up for it.
Maybe he read my tweets where I said we're not beating Juventus again. Not winning. I guess we didn't win all three, but we're not going to go unbeaten. You might have been right about Jovic. Looking at his stats here, in everything, he only played 10 minutes, so, take that what you will. But in everything he did, it was 100%. Accurate passes, 100%. Accurate crosses, 100%. Ground duels, 100%. He didn't have any aerials. He didn't have a single shot. He didn't have any of that, but he did create a chance.
Is he also off this winter? Is he taking the boot?
I wouldn't be surprised, but I do think if we were to do a two-striker formation, that's where he succeeded last season.
He's the best finisher in the squad, without a doubt. He literally is the best finisher. He had a knack for scoring a goal from nowhere off the bench last season. And I'm not saying that's sustainable as a starter over an entire season. We know he's had injury problems. In fact, ultimately, all this 10 minutes might have done is been a chance to put himself in the shop window, because it sounds like there's a few clubs that are interested in him. But he sort of gave us what we've been missing up front. And that's it just makes you think a little bit. Is this really helping Kamada at all? Why not? We're paying this guy adult salary to play or not play for us. Why not use him while he's still ours?
Well, Kamada came on before Jovic did.
I know, but is it useful for him? He seems to only get he gets the dregs of the minutes, let's put it that way.
Yeah, he gets the minutes when,
what are we really expecting a 16-year-old to drag us out of a 2-0 deficit?
If he wants to be the best player in the world, absolutely.
Maybe he can be, but I don't think you're that at 16, unless you're Lamine Yamal, I guess. But
Messi.
Whatever. It was shit, wasn't it? It was really bad. It was a bit of an anticlimax because we were building it up to be let's really show that we're serious about a top 4 spot. And I've never felt more confident that we're not going to get in. I know there's a long bit of the season left, but our current... Hold on a minute. I had put out a data tweet. I worked this out. I think you'll like this stat. Our current points per game pace, after however many Serie A games that we've played, is 1.55 per game, which would see us finish on 59 points at the end of the season if we keep it up. In the last 5 seasons, it gets you 8th, 9th, 9th, 8th, 9th. We're on course to finish exactly where we should. I think if anything, the door's slightly open because the top 3 teams have pulled away, and the 4th and 5th still up for grabs because Lazio and Fiorentina have fallen off a little bit. Juve are drawing a lot, can't win consistently. I know they beat us, whatever. The door hasn't been slammed shut yet, and we're still in it. And I'm so confident that we won't do it. We require, in order to, same thing, last 5 seasons, your points projection, we need to go at 2.1 something points per game from now until the end of the season to get the points total you need to get top 4 in the last 5 seasons. So we need a huge upturn based on how the past has gone. Now you might say maybe less points gets you in this year, and maybe we can expect an upturn under the new coach and stuff like that. But ultimately, in his first 3 league games, we've gone draw, win, loss. So we're 4 points from 3 games. It's actually worse than our average for the season. Small sample size, but I'm just saying, we need to improve now that the runway is short. Like, you can't keep chucking away games. Like, we might see his style next week. You know, we've got to kind of get our shit together here. Tops and flops.
Well, that kind of bummed me out, huh?
I know.
Yeah,
I
I'm
have like
sorry,
no
but-
rebuttal because it's true.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
You know the Lions lost this week, right? You're just like beating. It
Yes,
down
that was
right
awesome. That was great. That was the highlight of my weekend.
The
now.
Commanders,
Because you don't have much else going on there, pal.
I know.
Why don't we just get, you
Hail
know,
to
like
Commanders, man.
the Giants GM's son said, "Oh, you should be trading up to draft JD." We should get
You only get
Zlatan's son in.
You only have the job once. You want to win, right?
Yeah, get Max
Dad
Ibrahimovic
didn't
in
get a
there.
new quarterback. Passed up on everyone. Let Saquon leave. Whew.
Danny Dimes, man. Yeah, tops and flops. I don't know. Flop for me. I think if this was Tomori's audition to be like, I'm ready for Juve. Not surprised me that they're now interested in Lloyd Kelly. Let's put it that way. Wasn't happy with him. You could pick any one of a number of players for this. I would like to pick the entire back 6 players because
They are all rated very low.
Yeah, I'm gonna do something a bit unprecedented here, and I'm gonna pick someone who has never been picked on the history of this podcast for flop of the match. I'm gonna pick us, the fans, for sitting through and watching all 90 minutes of that.
I didn't. I turned it off after the second goal. I was like, I'm not going to do this.
Everyone but Madison.
Yeah,
I'm going to pick Mignon.
Okay. No top for me. No, nobody really. Maybe Jovic. I've praised him enough there for his cameo, but
we didn't even
nobody
score
gives
goals.
any-
Like you can't pick the goal scorer just out of pity, right? So
Taya-
Pulisic for not furthering his injury.
Can I pick Imbangula?
Yeah, if you like.
Yeah.
Yeah. It wasn't good. Anyway, let's move on. Girona. Girona first tomorrow.
Hold on, everybody. We got to do a little something here, don't we? Except I never uploaded the Champions League thing, so no. There's no Champions League video that's gonna.
Champions. That's best I can do. Hey, there we go.
That looks awful. Should we just leave it? All right. We'll just put up Girona.
Yeah, there we go. My Girona as I can't remember who it was who did that.
Oh, good.
So Girona last season were kind of like the fairy tale story of La Liga for a long time, shall we say. They were top for 4 different spells, and they looked like giving Real Madrid a real push for the La Liga title. They fell away a little bit towards the end of the season and ended up finishing 3rd, which is still great for them because it's Champions League participation. This will be the first time ever in any competitive game that we play them, which perhaps isn't a massive surprise. But this season, they're in 8th place in the table. They are on the cusp of the European spots, so it's not been a drop-off of huge magnitude, shall we say, but they have lost as many games as they've won in the league. And they are in the Champions League, they're struggling. They're 30th out of 32 teams. They've only won 1 of their 6 games and they've lost the other 5. They've scored 4 goals and they've let in 10. And admittedly, they actually had some, they've had PSG and Liverpool already so far. And they've got us and then Arsenal to finish. So not the easiest draw, but lost at home to Feyenoord, lost 4-0 away at PSV, lost 1-0 away at Sturm Graz. They're finding it pretty tough, it would be fair to say. They've not adapted to the level. League form suffered a little bit. And I think that their manager just said that he's told his players, we can't qualify from here, so treat it as a free hit. Go out and enjoy the occasion. I'm worried.
Yeah, that's the part where these teams come back, right? Is when they have nothing to lose, nothing to play for. So go out there, like you said, and put on a good performance. Maybe put yourself in the shop window, get a big move, and continue the second half of the Champions League. So that's scary. And the other thing that's scary is Tomori suspended. Gabi is still injured. So we're guaranteed Chow
Gabi is fine.
and Pavlovic.
Chow's injured. Gabi is fine.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Pavlovic shot window.
Is Pulisic still out?
Yeah.
Maybe. So he was during the press conference today. They said that he's going to stay with them. They have one more training session, and they're going to evaluate him. But
said at best he would be on the bench.
Yeah, I don't think they want to risk him.
It's twice now he said that if I play him and he's not ready, then there's a risk of it being a month or two. So I think he's got muscle fatigue, but it's clearly quite bad. And he's right on the edge of a strain or something, if something goes wrong. So don't fucking do that.
And I think we got lucky with this most recent one because it looked like he did something to his hamstring, but then it was just fatigue. So
he got booted in the back of the calf and then went off holding his hamstring. So that's very strange. But yeah, he clearly was just a little. So, it's true that you can get there just in time. The worry is when players say that they can run it off, and then they end up doing more damage. But I think we did get there in the nick of time in this one. Fingers crossed he's back for if not for the Girona game, then for the Parma game, and then the derby's on the horizon not long after that. So you've got to get him 100% for that. Really, that has to be the main aim. RLC out. Florenzi out, as we knew. Chukwueze out. Okafor training with the team, but also clearly being offered around. I think any notion that he failed a medical because he's going to be out for 4 weeks, as Fabrizio said, is incorrect. And I think that there might have been some economic aspects to the collapse of that transfer.
Yeah,
but
very odd.
I don't know if he's going to be in.
Very odd.
Yeah. I think he'll be in the lineup out of the simple fact that
we need a person.
But we don't have another winger, He might be.
Think he'll be in the team or the squad. I think he'll play.
I think he'll be on the squad list. I don't think he'll be playing.
That's the thing too. Yeah, I don't see him starting. Certainly not. But
Murphy,
is he even eligible? Can we call him up? I really don't know.
No, he wasn't named. No, he wasn't named in the squad. Neither's Jimenez, so we can't play Jimenez as a winger.
So it's going to be Musa.
Yeah, that's what's being reported. There's some talk of it being a 4-4-2, sorry, with Musa wide right, Leao wide left, Tammy and Morata up front. I actually don't think it's going to be that, though, because I don't know why you'd name both of your strikers. We have Kamada or Jovic on the bench, but we don't even have Jovic for this one because he's not in the squad. So you've got one player then. I just don't see it happening. I think it'll be a 4-2-3-1 again with Benacer or... Well, it's going to have to be Benacer in it.
Yeah, that's again. And this all goes back to what Conceição has been saying is I don't have options on the bench. This is it. The starting 11 is the team.
I still think that that's what he did and what he continues to do with certain substitutions is almost like to turn around to the directors and be like, look what I'm having to fucking play, and the one that seemed to be a sure lock, which is Kyle Walker, and I still think he is coming in because we've turned away from Rashford. Even that's taken until potentially the 23rd, 24th of January to get done. And it's a layup of a transfer,
They said he's going to be at the game, which woohoo, he's going to be in the stands.
Fucking play! Get him in, man. Is he UCL eligible, though? Because he'll have already played in it for City. So we can't even use him.
Is that true?
What about the knockouts?
Yeah, he'll be cup tie. I think
they got rid of cup tie a long time ago. I thought that cup tie was gone.
Maybe it's just domestic cups, or maybe because you register another squad, don't you, for the knockout phases? So maybe it resets then, but that's not until Feb.
The Champions League cup tie rule abolished in 2018.
Okay, good.
Jesus, 5 years ago,
brother. I got bad news for you. 7 years ago.
7 years. Fuck.
Madison doing math live.
I think it's Parma 2021. Forever.
Yeah.
That's would only have been 3
It'll never not be 2016.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Oh yeah, Girona's team. That's what I was going to look at. Just to see if there's anybody. They lost their most recent game 2-1 at home to mid-table Sevilla. Sevilla. Just looking at their lineup. Oh, Gazaniga in goal. Ex-Spurs, I remember him. Daley Blind at left back. Oriol Romeu in midfield. Sigankov on the wing. We've been linked with him before. Brian Hill on loan from Spurs on the other wing. Is that the ex-Watford Jasper Esprilla? It is.
Van de Beek too.
Wow. Yeah.
And Brian Gill.
Brian Gill's at Spurs, and he's that one, like the moped. Got really long hair. Christian Stuani, ex-Sampdoria, was he?
Mm-hmm.
Donny van de Beek, Paul Lopez. They've got a team of names, shall we say. I don't know who that is up front, though. Ruiz.
Abel Ruiz. Yeah,
Abel Ruiz. So they lost in the summer. They lost Dovby, who was obviously a big part of why they finished so high last season. Sold him to Roma, and they also lost Alex Garcia to Bayer Leverkusen. So they got 50 mil from that, and then they spent it on a few players that are in and around the 8-12 region. Tell you lads, from experience, doesn't work. Prediction. 65,000 fans expected at San Siro for this one, by the way, so not close to a sellout again, but whatever.
3-0. 3-0 us.
I'm going to go 2-1 us. I don't see the clean sheet happening. Not with Pavlovich first game back in, I don't even know how long, couple months. I just don't see it, and I don't think we got the firepower in a 4-4-2 or in the 4-2-3-1 with Morata and Musa on the wing. I just don't see it. So 2-1. I think it's a winnable game. We should win it, and it might put us actually in a really good position to be somehow in the top 8 of the Champions League, but I wouldn't hold your breath on that.
Based on Opta supercomputer calculations, if we win this, then a draw from our last game against Dinamo Zagreb gives us like an over 90% chance of being in the top 8. We basically need 4 points from the last 2 games to get in, which is good. I guess it's because some of the 8 teams in and around top 8 will play each other, whereas we've got 2 games we should win. Clip me, quote me, whatever you want to do. Very confident we're not winning this. Very confident. I just don't see it. I think them coming with the free hit, they're going to have a style of play that I think could cause us some problems. You know, yeah, they've dropped off from last season, but they're still a competitive side, and they've got, got a lot of names you've heard. They're technical. There's that. I think a lot just depends on our defensive effort. If we can keep them to 0 or 1, then we probably win. But I can see us drawing 2-2. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm just going through all of our Champions League games, and honestly, only the Real Madrid game was remotely comfortable, and even that was a bit hairy when they made it 2-1. But every other game was not easy. It's interesting.
Yeah, like Red Star, we needed a late winner. Bratislava, we conceded twice to them, and it's not Bruges.
Bruges, I guess, was fairly straightforward. We were up.
Well, it was.
No, we went behind.
They were down to 10 men, and we conceded an equaliser. It was an awful
yes, I'm sorry, we didn't. Okay. Fatma puts the red card underneath the goal scorer, and so it made me think that they had 2 for a second.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, let's just do the job, and then the Champions League knockouts is going to be a different thing. But 15 million extra we get for direct qualification, so that has to be the objective. And also, it would take 2 games off of our February schedule because we wouldn't have to play the playoff. So that would be important. That has to be the aim. It is big. I know that we need to make sure we're playing in the competition next season, but in the meantime, got to try get as far as we can in this one. All right, let's move on. Parma, quickly. Hard to know what the team is going to be for this one. Obvious reasons. We've got a game in between. There might be more injuries. There might be some that recover from injury. But is this Sunday? I think this is Sunday, right? I hope it is anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess no, it's Saturday.
Saturday.
Nah, that can't be right. It says Saturday at 12:30. I thought this was a 6:30 a.m. game for me.
No, it's Sunday. Sunday at the early time.
Yeah, FotMob's website is different
Central.
than their app. That's wild.
Yeah, so Sunday.
I have 6:30 on Sunday.
Yeah, that's what the app says, but the website says 12:30 on Saturday for some reason.
No one uses the website but you.
Guys, no, I'm just stupid. I'm looking at the previous fixture. It says Saturday, August 24th.
Yeah.
Just forgive me.
When we lost.
Forgive me, Lord, I have sinned. Yeah.
I will probably not wake up to watch this game because we're going to lose. It's a 6:30 game. Like, it happens every time. And then AJ and I text about how bullshit that we're awake.
Hey, this could have been a 3:30 a.m. on the West Coast back in my day. So,
Joe, and
you would have been drunk texting us because you never went to bed.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah.
Old AJ was something else.
You were a loose cannon, man, and
I
miss that sometimes. Bring it back. Make AJ
back.
great again. Second game of the season, we lost 2-1 away from home against Parma. Dennis Mann put them 1-0 up. Pulisic equalised, and then Cancellieri scored. We conceded both goals in the exact same way, across from the right side to the left side. It might have been the other way around, but yeah, we didn't deal with it. After that, they went 9 games without a win in the league. They didn't win again until they beat Venezia away. Then they beat Lazio away in early December. And their most recent win is against Monza at home, who rock bottom of the league, or were. I don't know if they still are. I think they're still bottom of the league on 28th of December. And they lost their most recent... Oh, sorry, they drew the most recent game 1-1 against Venezia. Lost away at Genoa 1-0 before that. Drew 0-0 at Torino before that. So basically, they're struggling to score goals, is what I took from that. And yeah, we're going to lose.
Yeah, I think Suzuki is a really good goalkeeper. Obviously, Parma is not doing the hottest, but I think overall he's much better than the team he plays for. I think we saw rumors today that Dennis Mann might be leaving for Fiorentina. So even if he's on the squad, it's unlikely that he plays if that starts to advance.
Be a good sign in that, I think.
Yeah, it would. And yeah, Consigliere, it's probably going to be there. So I don't see anything.
Well, they've done more January business than us. They've signed someone for $6 million.
Well, they have an owner who has aspirations.
Well,
yeah, Kyle Kraus, or Kraus or whatever it be.
Well, their aspirations are staying in the league. Our aspirations are making money.
We're actually closer to the relegation zone than we are to Inter at the moment. Thoughts?
None. I don't have any.
Yeah, I don't think
we've got 1 trophy to their 0 this season.
Exactly.
Just saying. Just saying. Winner celebrates, loser explains. Prediction. No, I actually do think we are going to win this one. And I think this is our first clean sheet under Conchichao. It's going to be 2-0.
I'm still going to go 2-1. I think that is the safe bet for the rest of the year. Yeah.
1-0. Don't know who.
Fair enough.
Bob Murphy or Meregbe, Maddie says. Right, let's do a couple of questions that'll take us up to the hour mark. We got a couple of interesting ones. First one comes from Ayoboni Ryan, maybe. Hi guys, I was wondering why you don't like Morata. I don't think he's worse than Giroud. He offers much more in the build-up phase than Giroud ever did. Last year, Giroud scored 11 non-penalty goals in Serie A. The year before that, 10. The year before that, 9. Morata is on 5 at the halfway stage of the season. Granted, none are great numbers, but it's not like Giroud was a prolific scorer.
I don't know if you listened to the podcast when Giroud played here, but we also shit on him. So
we dislike both.
I don't think he's better than Giroud. Is he worse? Probably, but if you want to argue that they're on the exact same level, that's fine. My issue with Morata is I've never thought he was a good striker, and I've been saying that since we were originally linked with him in, I believe, 2016. So every year I've had to say I don't want this transfer. I finally lost, and now it's just proven me right. So my
now Morata's employed and AJ's not.
Yeah, we switched employers. So
I wish it was the other way around. I'm not gonna lie.
I will say that I think it's what Morata represents more than him as an actual player himself.
Yeah.
We're buying Band-Aids for a problem that has not been fixed since Carlos Baca left in seems like circa 1900, because nothing has happened since then.
Yeah.
Super Copa, and I guess we won the league. But
I don't know when Camarda joined our Primavera, but I feel like we've been waiting for him to be first team ready ever since then, and have just been signing old dudes as like
16 years since he came out of his mother.
Yeah, but I don't know when he joined our academy.
16 years ago.
From birth.
Took him out and gave him to Milan. Yeah.
There you go. Fair enough.
Yeah, Maddie's spot on. Like, it isn't him as a bloke or anything. And, he's got an impressive CV. He's won basically everything there is to win.
He destroyed his family to come play for Milan. The man put it all on the table.
I think I'd rather have the family than whatever the fuck he's got here. Right. Yeah, it's the symbol of what he represents, which is a lack of ambition. And also, I don't think it was helped by the fact that we were so close to signing Xerxes. And I know he hasn't done well at Manchester United, but we were all a bit like, all right, if this is our guy, they're putting 40 million, let's do it. This is our centre forward for the future. And then we just completely pivoted to a 31-year-old, for 13 mil, who is a career 12 to 14 goal scorer per season, And it's like, all right, it was a bit underwhelming after that, shall we say. And then, yeah, we got Tammy Abraham in, so you could say we're spreading our bets a little bit by having two strikers who have at least scored goals in Serie A before. But it was a last-minute loan deal, so it wasn't like we knew we were pursuing him for a long time and we had to get this one done. And instead, now it's like the summer's going to come around and we're going to have to spend on a striker. But can any of us honestly say that we are definitely going to go and spend the 40 million plus we need on a striker? Because I can't.
The rumor comes around every summer or every January that we're going to do it in the summer, and then the summer comes in and we don't. We spend half the window linked with the player who might be decent. And for the record, I don't think any of us were really saying, okay, we want Xerxes. It was just the idea that it was a young striker that had longevity, that was highly rated at the time, that you could get behind as like, okay, we are aiming for something. And then this comes in, and it's such a step backwards that when the Abraham loan was announced, we all were so excited for Abraham because at least it's a young striker who had a very prolific season. He just got injured. We know we could rehabilitate. Everyone was really excited about that. And then they both haven't worked out. So now we're stuck at phase 0, So it's just frustration.
Phase. There's a lot of talk of phases at the moment, isn't there? Like Arteta being in phase 5 and shit like that. I mean, what phase are we in? I've been in phase -1 for about 4 years now. But yeah, that's it. When you've got Morata as your centre forward, you always have a ceiling, and it's not particularly high. I think that's what I'll end on. JT Physio says, and I think you actually responded to this. It was in the Discord chat. Who would you take out of this group of players? Ricardo Orsolini, Francisco Trincao, or keep Chukwueze? So there's 3 right wingers on the table there.
Yeah, in the thing I said, I didn't really watch much Trincao, so I wasn't sure, but I think I'm leaning Orsolini. I'm pretty sure he scored after that question was asked, right, this weekend?
Yeah, he's had a really good run of form, actually, as Orsolini.
Yeah.
He's now on
Italian, so we need that.
10 goal contributions in 17 league games, 7 goals, 3 assists. I mean, that's far better than anything we have on the right. Joke.
He's got my vote.
Joke. Pulisic is on better numbers, but yeah, I don't know. The only thing, I just wish that he was 23, 24. He's 27, so he's getting into... He's a bit of a Berardi type player to me.
I think Orsolini makes sense, though, because when you look at Chukwueze and you look at the squad that we have, we are really severely lacking and hurting in the Italian department. We need more Italian players. That's a big reason why Kalulu had to leave, is because we didn't have enough Italian, so our squad list was full. That's why we had to get rid of someone to bring in more players. So then you look at Chukwueze, a guy who takes up a non-EU slot, I believe. I'm not sure if he has a European passport, but I believe he does not. So he takes up a non-EU slot. He doesn't help with the homegrown list, and he has to leave for half a season every few years for AFCON. And, obviously you're not going to say don't go play your Continental Cup. Every player wants to. But I think you bring in a guy who doesn't have those restrictions, and while the ceiling may be equal or slightly higher, I do think in the long run it benefits the team better. And I have nothing but the utmost respect for Chukwueze. I actually do like him as a player, but I think it makes sense to go with an Italian for a backup,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, fully in agreement with that. I don't know if Orsolini is the kind of player that you bring in that really raises the level so much, but when the alternative is like it's become normalized in my head that Musa's going to be starting games at right wing. It's like, well, it's going to be Musa on the right, innit? And I'm like, how the fuck have we got to that? Where we're just like, it's fine almost, That's not what we signed him as. I know he plays there occasionally for the USA, but like for a team
occasionally, not really.
Yeah, I know he's done it a little bit under Pochettino, but for a team that wants to play the way that we do, I think having Musa on the right is a direct antithesis to that. You need someone who's far more direct, someone who's far more technical, and has a better rate of end product than what Musa has. And I'd love to see Chukwueze
about it, though, right? Like,
yeah. Well, while
there's a lot of injuries, he doesn't have the players he wants to play the system. Like, he is adapting to what he has, which is what we wanted Fonseca to do.
I think the ideal is if you could bring someone in who genuinely can play all 3 positions. Like, and I say left wing, right wing, and sort of second striker, if you like. And I know people are saying about João Felix, and but at the moment it feels like we all right, we're going to go out and get a striker who is just a striker. And then we've got the same problem where we've no right winger, so the service is only coming from one side. Or do we go out and sign a winger like we were going to do with Rashford and think that fixes our problem because the quality of service is going to be better? Or do you get someone who try and fixes multiple problems at once? It's a headache. Like, it feels like we're trying to do way too much at once at the end of this window. You know, there's Emerson Royal and Pavlovic out. Walker in, you could say, okay, like at least that's a starter level player. It probably does move the needle in the right direction. But for me, we probably still need at least one central midfielder. We could do with a winger and a striker, you know, and I don't think you can do all that in 10 days or 11, 12 days, whatever is left. I just don't think it's possible. And therefore, you know, the question will come, have we got our priorities right? Because we're looking at Walker taking 23 days of the window to get done, you know? And then you're left scrapping around for loan opportunities and shit like that. Dario says, this is for you, AJ. What means of transportation would you use to get Emerson Royal sent to Galatasaray? He starts with catapult. Yeah.
That's funnier. I was going to say pedicab, but that's even funnier. Catapult, that works, yeah.
Yeah, like an old school trebuchet.
Oof.
You know, one of them.
That'd be good. Yeah,
that'd be sick. Yeah, well, and like that's a mad situation in itself. I don't know what we're going to do for the bonus this week, so I won't dive into it too much. But what fucking club invests in a starting right back, having had so long to line up the right guy for that particular position, and 6 months later, while he's still starting games, by the way, he's still our starting right back. We're trying to punt him off to Turkey on a loan with option. If ever there's been such a quick admission of incompetence, I haven't seen anything like it. Wrap it up there. Cheers for joining the counselling session this week, everyone. Hopefully next week we have a more positive episode, and stay tuned for the bonus later in the week. I've been your host, Ollie Fisher. Find me on Twitter at Ollie Fisher. AJ, cheers for joining.
See you guys next time.
Mad Dog. Have a good week, everyone.